With each candidate, we'll have 2 minutes to make an opening statement, and then we'll have 90 seconds to answer a question. There's some ground rules that we'll go over. When there's 10 seconds remaining, the moderator will show a yellow card. And when they see a red card, that means finish. And if you're really bad, we ring the bell. Candidates will rotate answering questions first, and there'll be a 90-second closing statement. So we'll begin with the opening statements we'll start, it's informal, it's a preliminary election, so we'll start with the closest candidate to me, Donna Coppola, for your opening statement.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Appreciate that, giving us the time to let people know about us. But my name is Donna Coppola, and I'm going to run for Ward 4 City Councilor. I've served the last 12 terms on the Lynn School Committee. I'm married to my husband, Harry. I have 4 children. They're all graduates of Lynn Classical, and I'm the grandmother of 7 grandchildren. And I have been a foster parent to 19 children over the years. I am a graduate of North Shore Community College in the University of Mass in Boston, and I have worked as a case manager for teen parents, most of them living up in the Highlands and attending high school here in Lynn. I've also worked for AT&T, so I have a business background, and I've worked for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I sit on the board for My Brother's Table, and I am a member of the North Shore Labor Council Women's Committee, as well as I am on a board for a Liberian Birthing Center. I've been a member of unions, different unions. I've been a member of CWA, ASME, and United Auto Workers. And just ask for one of your vote for Ward 4 City Council.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Chris?
Hello, good afternoon all. My name is Chris Gomez, and I'm running to be councilor for Ward 4. I'm a lifelong Lynner, grew up in Lynn my whole life. I attended Lynn Public Schools. I'm a proud graduate of Lynn English. I obtained my associate's degree at North Shore Community College, followed by my bachelor's and master's degree in business administration with a focus in management at Salem State. I worked for Bridgewell for 15 years. I was part of the team that brought the union to Bridgewell. And then I worked for the city of Lynn as a director of elder services for 2 years. And now I work for the city of Beverly. I've been involved in the city of Lynn my whole life, whether it was coaching at a young age, coaching youth sports, or working at the Boys and Girls Club. And giving back is something really important to me, which is why I want to be councilor. When I left Lynn, it was really difficult, and I think being ward councilor, I can give back to my community and be there, be accessible, and just be a good help, a helping hand to people. And I know a lot of resources, being that I worked for the city. I know the inner workings of the city and the nuances, and have a good connection with a lot of people. So I hope to get your vote on September 5th. Thank you.
Natasha?
Thank you. Good evening. First of all, I would like to thank God. Second of all, I would like to thank LCTV for giving us this opportunity to have a platform and to make sure that everybody is informed about what their options are. So my name is Natasha Megie-Maddrey, and I am running for Ward 4 City Councilor. I am running because I have a vested interest in our city, and I want to see Lynn be the best city it can be. As the daughter of hardworking Haitian Dominican immigrants, my parents taught me the value of hard work, and as a result, I carried that throughout my life. I was a single mom, and I raised my daughter while attending law school. I went to New England School of Law. I was the first in my family to go to college. I believe in hard work, and I believe in bringing that to the table. It's so important. The reason that I'm running for office is because so many people feel like their voice doesn't matter, and I'm here to tell you that your voice does matter, and I want to bridge the community and make sure that Lynn is a place that everybody feels welcome, regardless if you've lived in Lynn for generations or you just moved to Lynn today. I really want you to know that I want to advocate for you. I want you to feel that you belong here, because you do. I want to advocate for affordable housing. I want to make sure that our neighborhoods are safe and clean. I want to make sure our parks are clean so that my grandson has a good, nice place to play. I want to make sure that Lynn is everything it needs to be. Like, I've been in Lynn for the last 25 years, and I see the changes that has happened to our city. And some of them have been good, but some of them need to be addressed. And I'm running to represent all of you. So please please vote for me on September 5th. Thank you.
Okay. That concludes the opening statement portion, which for ward councilor is very important. And we're going to move to the questions. And the first few questions will be almost a continuation of what you opened with, so we can get you into the mode of answering questions in a public forum. So, beginning with Chris, the first question will be, what or whom made you decide to run for public office? And if anyone wants me to repeat these questions, I will.
What made me run for public office?
Or whom, yeah.
Whom? Well, everyone knows my grandma is very important to me, near and dear. And my grandma always emphasized us giving back to the community. And it's very important to me. And Lynn as a whole is very important to me. So once I left working the city of Lynn, I wanted to continue to give back to the city. So I thought ward council would be the best thing. And I could continue to help the seniors, the senior centers in Ward 4. The seniors are very important to me. And even my neighbors and just friends and family and people I don't know. I just want to help people. I want to be accessible. I want to improve people's quality of life and just make Ward 4 the best it possibly can be.
Natasha?
Sure. So the reason that I ran for city council is because I believe that I can help to bridge the community and bring more voices to the table. So many people feel unheard in our community. Being a single mother, I understood how it is to struggle. So I understood the struggle, and a lot of our families are facing the same struggle. And I want to advocate to make sure that our residents know where the resources are, because there's a lot of resources in our city, but unfortunately it's very hard to access the resources to know exactly if you have a problem, how you can best solve that problem. So I ran for office because representation matters. And our city is beautiful. It's very diverse, but when you look at the city council, it's not as diverse as it needs to be. Representation is very important, and I really want, I'm not running for office for me, I'm running for the next generation. I don't believe you should be in office for 30 years. I believe that a few terms is good, and then you should be molding the next person that's going to be taking over. So it's not for me, it's the next generation. It's the next generation, our younger generation, because their voice is so important. It's all about them. I want to represent everybody and make sure that whether you're a baby or if you're a senior, that you know that your voice matters.
Donna, do you need?
Yes, okay. I'm running because the seat is open and available to run for. And I've sat on the city school committee for 12 terms, and I have the skills to be a city councilor. It's skills and experience. The experience is working to solve problems that people come with. In the school committee, of course, they were different because they were parents, staff people, children themselves that had issues, and I worked at resolving them. So it's just transferring what I have from my skills over. And I do know my husband was a ward councilor, my brother-in-law was a city councilor, so I know just from the calls that we got at home, what people are looking for. They want a good quality of life, and they want to have safety. Safety is really important to people living in a community, and those are things that I can help them with.
Okay, next question. Still going on the easy ones. What goals do you have as a ward councilor? Natasha, you take the first question first, I mean.
Great, thank you for the question. So one of the first goals I have as a ward councilor is to make sure that we have ward meetings, because right now, currently, we don't have ward meetings in Ward 4. We need to make sure that these ward meetings happen in different places in the ward. I feel like a lot of our ward is not connected. So we have the beach area and the Highlands area, but there's not a real connection. And we need to do more to connect the Highlands to the beach area and make sure that everybody feels important, that their voice matters. So some of the goals, that's some of the things I want to do. I want to also have newsletters. I think I want to have monthly newsletters. It needs to be in multiple languages. We need to make sure that everybody knows what's going on in our city, not just in Ward 4, but in the city as a whole. I want to advocate to have affordable housing. So I've knocked on thousands of doors since March, and so many people feel like they're being pushed out of our city. And I really just want to make sure to advocate for those people, to make sure that if they want to live in Lynn, that they are able to stay here in this city. Yeah.
Okay, that's Natasha. Okay, Donna,
Okay.
your goals as a ward councilor, yep.
I'm sorry?
Your goals as a ward.
Goals as a ward
I just
councilor,
want to repeat the
definitely.
question.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. There are a lot of issues that we have in our ward, and I think that we need more police visibility. People talk about safety issues. We're talking about speeding to us. They're letting us know the parking issues that we have, the tightness in an overcrowded ward, really, is what we have. But also things like making sure that I connect with not just the city council, but stay connected with the school committee so that we can work as partners and improve on the buildings that we have for our schools. And also have monthly meetings. I think they're really important. I know that the Ward 5 City Council, she has it in the police station, in their police room, but not only have it there, but move around to other parts of the city. And also take time to meet with people. Communication, I think, is really a problem in our ward. There hasn't been enough communication, so that's going to be a piece that I'm going to really dwell on, whether it's meeting families at school events or meeting them at restaurants or barbershops or on the stoop of their homes.
Okay. Chris?
So some of my goals would be, first of all, I'd want to focus on the cleanliness and the safety of Ward 4. You know, I would want to do monthly cleanups, park cleanups at the beach, and getting everyone in the community involved. And, you know, teaming up with the city's bike unit, they're really great. And, you know, have more visibility in Ward 4 so people feel safer. And I would also want to focus on helping people that are suffering from drug misuse and homelessness. You know, the city just got some opioid money. I think it would be good if we invested in an outreach worker to help these people. You know, a lot of people are suffering, and I think that would be a great way to start things off, as well as focusing on helping in the businesses. The only way we're going to attract more businesses is by helping the current businesses we have. And when our current businesses succeed, then more people want to invest in our community, and that's a big thing. I've been up and down Essex Street, Union Street, and I have a lot of friends with businesses in the area, and they don't really know the connection, the programs, and the resources that the city has. Being that I've worked for the city, I know a lot of these resources, and I tend to try to help people out. And I want to focus on the quality of life overall as for our residents. You know, I'm an all-in guy, but I want to make sure that my Ward 4 residents know that they come first to me, and I'll be there for whatever they need and advocating for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question is one I'm sure everyone expected. And Donna, you're going to go first. Mm-hmm. What would you do as Ward 4 councilor in support of efforts to reduce beach pollution from storm overflows and other local sources?
Well, people in our community have a lot of ideas on what it is. Today they had a meet and greet for the Diamond District at the museum, and there was a lot of discussion on ways that the beach can be cleaned up. And you know, number one, they really want the problem to be solved so that the beaches can be used by everybody. This has probably been the worst summer. You know, a lot of beaches were closed, but in particular in our beach, it really went from Kings Beach all the way right up to Nahant with the red flags. You know, and when you are down on the beach and you see people still swimming in the beach and on the sand there, and they're not aware that how contaminated it has been this summer. But there were people there talking about being able to close off and block off the sewerage. You know, others have said that most of the problem is coming from the Swampscott side. So I think we need to have a real clear answer on what it is exactly and how it definitely can be corrected. And we need to get the federal and the state involved in helping us. It can't be just on the money that Lynn has or Swampscott has. This is a big issue.
Chris, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What would you do as Ward 4 councilor in support of efforts to reduce beach pollution from storm overflows and other local sources?
So first of all, I would try to work with Councilor Alisong. I know he's been working diligently on this, and I would meet with him and discuss possible avenues. But I think the major issue is the funding. So we have to, work alongside our state delegation and the federal government and try to get more funding, because this isn't going to be an easy fix. This is going to take a lot of money. And I have the experience while working at the Senior Center in Lynn. I procured a lot of grants for the city, and I made a lot of good friendships at the state and federal level. So I would try to leverage my network and try to get a lot of funding to clean the beach. It's such an asset we have. It's kind of sad that we can't use it. And besides that, I would set up, beach cleanups, but not in the water, obviously, but along the sand, and just try to get more funding. I've noticed the councilors that are very active tend to get more funding for their wards, and I'd be extremely active as a ward councilor trying to get funding.
Hey, Natasha, you need me to repeat the question?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
So the beach is a huge problem. So the pollution in the beach is just not okay. So one of the issues when talking to so many people on the doors, the beach is definitely top of mind for a lot of residents that live near the beach. And for everybody in Lynn, I love the beach. It's gorgeous. And I love taking pictures there. It's a beautiful place. And just like Donna and Chris has said, I definitely would support all of their ideas as well. We definitely need to have beach cleanups. We really need to push on the state to make sure that they are doing their part, because this is definitely a state issue. But with us as city councilors pushing on the state, that is how we're going to probably get the beach cleaned up. And it has to be an ongoing solution. Like, I really believe it has to be education. So there's some groups that are already doing some work on this, and I would work with those groups and expand membership and try to just make more people aware of what is going on at the beach. And the signs are not enough, so the red flags are not enough. It needs to be in multiple languages to make sure that people aren't swimming in the beach, because we don't want people to get sick. Like, the pollution is just terrible. And our beaches are it's so beautiful, and it's just a shame that it's in the condition that it's at. So I definitely would advocate to push on the state to make sure the beach is cleaned up. It's a top priority.
Okay. The next question, and Chris, you'll go first, is ward councilors often receive messages and calls about potholes, downed trees, illegal dumping, unplowed streets, and certainly much more. If elected, what is your approach to constituent services?
Well, the number one thing is to always be accessible. I would always be accessible to my constituents and be readily available to help. I do it on a daily basis now, and it's something I find great pleasure in, is helping people and being able to assist them and, improving their quality of life and just being a helping hand. So I would just be accessible at all times and always willing to help and really listening. I think it's really important that we listen to what people really need. So I hope to conduct several forums to listen to Ward 4 residents to see what are the needs and the concerns.
Okay, Natasha, you all set with the question?
Yes.
Okay.
So constituent services are definitely one of the most important things. And as a city councilor, I would make sure that I always return phone calls or emails or texts or however you want to communicate with me. It's so important to be responsive to people, and really just people want to be heard. And we also have to take some care in our city. When we look at Ward 4, this doesn't happen in all areas of Ward 4. So like if you're on the beach area, you're not seeing the couches in random places. So we need to make sure that all of Ward 4 is taken care of, not just certain parts of it. It's not okay. And we need to figure out like what is really going on. Like what's going on with our residents that they feel the need to, like, if maybe they don't have money to discard of their furniture, and maybe that we can have a program that could help residents dispose of their furniture for free. And that way, this could help to alleviate the problem so that furniture is not being thrown out. But we also have to take responsibility. We have to care about our city. We want our city to be beautiful. Every part of the city, every single ward. So it's not okay. It really upsets me when I see couches and things like that just thrown to the side. So we need to make sure that when we see that, we report that. And then or our residents report it to us. And then we make those calls to have things removed, because it shouldn't be there for weeks and weeks. I've seen mattresses for over a month, and that needs to be fixed. Thank you.
Hey, Donna?
Okay, being accessible is probably the most important thing that a ward councilor can be. And returning your calls, and even if you don't have an answer yet, still return the call and let them know that you're working on it. Communication, communication, communication. We really, in this city, have a problem with that. And you'll hear people say that. They don't know where they're supposed to go, what barrels they're supposed to use, what department to call. It's a little bit of education that needs to happen on their part, but it's really important for us to make sure that that we communicate and let them know what the proper way of living in their ward, and if they have a problem. As a ward councilor, I would drive around the ward. I'd make sure, because sometimes you can't wait for somebody to call. You should see what's around, and if it's trash that's not picked up, or it's parks that have a problem, then as a councilor, you should be ahead of it before people have to call you. But if people call you, definitely make partnerships with those people, work together in certain neighborhoods, and keep it clean. Everybody wants a really clean ward.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, the next question, and Natasha, you'll go first on this one.
Thank you.
Have you read the city's Vision Lynn, a plan to guide future development and investments in infrastructure? What are your thoughts on its impact on Ward 4?
Oh, absolutely. So the Vision Lynn plan is very thorough. I have read it. And I do think a lot of the things that they're suggesting would be really helpful to the city as a whole. So it's definitely something that we need to work on, for sure. Yeah, I would definitely support it. I support it in 100%.
Okay. Donna?
Okay, the Vision Lynn plan was just passed. I think there was a vote on that, so it was accepted. And it's a 20-year plan, so it's not something that is just people are going to expect something to happen quickly. But I think it's a good plan. It highlights 4 areas, really. I think, worrying about is there housing where people are going to live. Education is an important piece, people learning. Having good places for parks and things like that is another part. And also keeping work, make sure that we have a lot of industry here. We need some industry for the long run so that we have some good jobs, some good union jobs, that people, if they are living here, will have good jobs to work on. The plan itself, I think, is excellent, and a lot of the plan covers Ward 4. It covers Union Street, for the businesses and trying to build on it. It covers the ocean, our water, and taking care of that. Housing is a big piece on it. So I think a lot of Ward 4 falls under the Lynn Vision Plan.
Okay. Thank you. Chris?
Thank you. So I think the vision plan was a great plan. I was part of the steering committee that made the vision plan. And I think it's a very comprehensive plan that takes everything into account. Not only let's put a building up here, well, let's look at every aspect of life and how it affects everything. And I think it was a great plan, and the city did a great job in getting it approved. And I'm very happy with it. And I hope, everything goes well, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, the biggest thing about plans is to stick to them.
Yes.
Stick to them.
Yeah. So, okay, the next question, Donna will go first. And this is a little different, but it does affect Ward 4. The Pickering Middle School project and Broadway reconstruction projects are out of this ward, but have implications citywide. How would you address questions and concerns for future projects in Ward 4?
Okay, if they had similar projects like the Pickering and because you said in Ward 4.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
right. Okay.
I
yeah.
only read them. I didn't make them up.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're saying that Pickering is, it's very important. We have to have good schools, and we passed by the building of one Pickering, so we don't want that to happen again. And it does affect our ward, because if you're building new schools and people are looking to move into our community and the schools are not in good shape, and people who are coming to buy a house or coming to live here because they got a job close by, and they look at some of our schools, they're not going to. So the values of property are affected, and that could be affected in Ward 4 just by, people purchasing homes. I think that the Broadway plan is an important plan. It needed to be done. It's a disaster up in Wyoming Square, and it's going to be for a while, the construction, but I have faith that the state, when they're completed with it, will be a nice, safe spot for everybody driving there, walking there. We had some work done like that down in West Lynn, and it worked out fine.
Okay. Thank you, Donna. Chris?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Oh, you would ask me to do that. The Pickering Middle School project and Broadway reconstruction projects are out of this ward, but have implications citywide. How would you address questions and concerns for future projects in Ward 4?
Yeah, so first of all, I want the input of my constituents. So I would want to host a forum and see what are their thoughts on the future projects. And a project like the Broadway project, that brings a lot of state funding into that ward. And, as a ward councilor, sometimes, well, all the time, we're fighting for funds. So, I'd be very diligent, and, I'd get all the facts, and I'd bring all the facts to the table and make sure my constituents are present. And I would let my constituents see everything and see how they feel about it. And that's how I would base my opinion on the projects.
Okay. Natasha?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
I guess, yeah, everyone wants this one repeated. The Pickering Middle School project and Broadway reconstruction projects are out of this ward, but have implications citywide. How would you address questions and concerns for future projects in Ward 4?
Oh, so absolutely. So like Chris said, the most important thing is to make sure that constituent voice is heard. So we need to have meetings and make sure, not just like one meeting, but we need to have several meetings about whichever project comes up, right? So we need to make sure that the project will benefit the entire ward. as a whole, right? We want to make sure that we need to just think about parking. We need to make sure that the long-term impact, we want to make sure that it's going to, like, what are the benefits for our residents, and making sure that we hear out our constituents to make sure that to voice, so they can voice their opinions on whether we should move forward with it or not. So that's what I would do, just making sure that everybody's voice is heard on that.
And I think whoever submitted the question was also trying to make the point that these projects don't operate in a vacuum.
Yeah.
The whole city's affected by new schools, new roadways, everything.
Absolutely.
So, okay. Chris is going to go first on the next one. And it's, affordable housing has become a greater issue as rents continue to increase and more residents are struggling to keep up. Should the city council play a role in addressing this?
I believe we should play a role. You know, I believe no person that grew up in Lynn or has lived in Lynn for any time should have to move out because they can no longer afford to pay their rent. And you know, there's a lot of resources out there that people are just unaware of. You know, when I was in the senior center, I helped numerous seniors, you know, get housing, get rafts, get whatever benefits they can. And as a city councilor, I would do that with my constituents. I would connect them to valuable resources and help them in whatever manner we can. But I think it's essential, you know, especially our seniors. You've been living here your whole life and now you can't afford to live here. I think there should be someone out there to help you, and that's who I would be.
Natasha, do you need me to repeat the question?
I'm sure you can repeat the question. Sure.
I'm sure I'd like to. Affordable housing has become a greater issue as rents continue to increase and more residents are struggling to keep up. Should the city council play a role in addressing this?
Oh, of course. So absolutely. So the housing crisis, it's a huge problem. It's a crisis in our city as a whole, especially in Ward 4. As a city councilor, I would advocate to make sure that we have affordable housing, not only affordable housing, but I want to make sure that the housing that we do have is quality. So it has to be affordable, quality housing. So I've talked to so many residents, and so many people feel like they're being pushed out of our city because the rents keep going up. And they have no control. And we need to make sure, we really need to push for rent control because that's really what we need to have. Because so many residents are being pushed out of Lynn. So if you've lived here your whole life and you can't afford to move and you're just stuck, it's just not okay. I moved to Lynn 25 years ago because I couldn't afford to pay rent anymore in Dorchester. And now here we are 25 years later, and rent is just ridiculously too high. My own daughter, she's 24, she's looking for an apartment right now, and the apartments are so expensive. It's nearly impossible to find an apartment. And then what type of apartment are you gonna find? You need to find, I want my daughter and everybody to live in quality housing. And so that's definitely a role that I would play to make sure that that we push on our landlords to make sure that they're maintaining their properties. It's so key. Thank you.
Okay. Donna?
Definitely city councilors need to work that as a problem. It's a serious problem. We're going to get calls. You're elected as city councilor, you're going to get your calls. People looking for housing. People are always looking for housing. We've built a lot of housing in the community, but I think that we need to talk to a lot of the builders to make sure that they have a number of units that are for affordable for people. But a lot of these big buildings that have been put up have a lot of empty units in them because people cannot afford those rents. And I think for them to leave them empty when we have people who are so desperate for housing, I think the time has come to talk to some of those people who put up those big buildings, like the Caldwell building. It has a lot of empty buildings. They also have a lot of evictions that happen because people, once they get in there, can't afford them. We need to be reasonable, and reasonable rent here in our community. And I think that it's time to work with some of the management companies. There's also a lot of people, as I went around knocking, they're in the 2, 3, 6 family houses. There are empty units in there. And we need to know and talk to the owners What is the problem? Is it that you can't afford the repairs in them? Is it tenant issues that you've had? And try to help them out so they can open the units.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting topic. As a retired finance director of the Lynn Housing Authority, I could talk for an hour on how some of those programs work and what's happened to them over the years, too. Okay. Natasha will get the next question. As Ward 4 Councilor, how would you engage with state agencies overseeing parts of the ward, such as DCR and the MBTA?
Okay.
You get the beach, you get the garage, you get the railroad,
Absolutely. So it's key as a city councilor to collaborate with our state delegation to make sure that the best interests of our city and our residents are being advocated for. So I would work with the state delegation and my fellow city councilors to ensure that that everything is taken care of the way it should be. The MBTA, all these different state agencies are so key and vital to our city. So we need to work with the mayor as well and the state delegation and the city council to make sure that our city is getting the services that they need and push on them. Like to have no commuter rail right now, it's just crazy. It's a big problem. We need to make sure that it's addressed sooner rather than later.
Donna?
As I go around, these are big issues with people. And people feel as though, because we're Lynn, that we're really neglected by a lot of those agencies. And I think that definitely city councilors need to be working with the mayor's office, also working with our delegation, not only in the state but also in the federal government, because it's inexcusable that we have had so many problems in such a short period of time. Closing down, we had no idea on the closing down of the garage. And then people that take the train have to get on buses to go in the opposite direction, Swampscott, if they want to go to Boston to work. It adds time on their day. And the beach really needs to be cared for. Somebody told me today that there's graffiti written all over. They contacted the, who's handling the beaches, and they said, "Oh well," was the answer that they said to this person. That's unacceptable. Our residents, if they call to report something, they should be taken seriously, and as well as our delegation should be respected by these agencies. And as far as the third thing was, was also our buses. When we think of the seniors have had to fight for extra buses on, it's inconvenient.
Okay, Chris, do you need me to repeat the question?
Sure.
As a Ward 4 councilor, how would you engage with state agencies overseeing parts of the ward, such as the DCR and the MBTA?
So first of all, I would work with my fellow councilors, the mayor's office, and our state delegation to advocate. And Lynn, we deserve these services. We should have a working commuter rail, and we should have a clean beach. And I think by the saying, a squeaky wheel. So I just be really persistent and advocating for Lynn, advocating for our commuter rail, and advocating that our beaches are cleaned and the graffiti is taken away and everything. I think the more active you are in building relationships with people in these organizations will make things easier. So having these open lines of communication would be valuable. And at the same time, we got to leverage our networks and our people that we know. We know Mayor McGee is on the board of MBTA, so I'd be knocking on his door all the time, bothering him and advocating for our beach and our transportation. Okay. Thank you.
I just want to congratulate you guys. You've breezed through we thought it would take 8 questions. You've breezed through them pretty good. And I might say that as a former city councilor 40 years ago, some of the problems are still here. So it's amazing. Okay, so we're going to go to extra questions. We're always prepared. Okay, and so this is a ward councilor question. So Natasha, did you go first last time? Was it? Yeah, it was Natasha, so it'll be Donna this time. But it's a ward councilor type question. What's another common issue or complaint you've heard from residents so far in this campaign, and how would you address it? Maybe something we haven't talked about tonight, or something you want to elaborate on, we have.
Okay. A lot of the issues that I have heard as I've gone door to door all encompass safety. Starting with as far as the traffic, the speeding, the parking issues. Kids are coming out between close parked cars because there's no space for all the cars that we have in our ward in particular. But safety is the number one. The criminal element is really concerning to people. People feel as though they can't come out after dark. They're fearful. So that's a piece that I think that we need to, and I think we all see that. They're hoping that things get cleaned up, whether it's the drugs, the overdoses. People are afraid of all that stuff, and that's all safety. Everything that they have a concern about is safety, including the beach. They want to be safe, and not come home with infections and whatever else if they were down at the beach. But those are the absolute main things. And, they give solutions. They not only want, no speeding to happen, they all want, speed bumps everywhere. So
We get it.
you get it.
Chris, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What's another common issue or complaint you've heard from residents so far in this campaign, and how would you address it?
Yeah, well, knocking on the doors, like Donna said, most of the questions were about safety and I think quality of life issues. I've heard a lot of complaints about speeding, and I think, maybe we have to look into putting maybe those rubber speed bumps that you can screw in and then take off in the winter, like I've seen many other cities like Salem do, especially on Ocean Street. A lot of people complain about people flying down there, and it's a dangerous thing because we have little kids walking to the beach at any given time. And the cleanliness of the area, you can walk, it's an extreme almost. You can walk from Lynn Shore Drive, and then you go down to Union Street, and then you start seeing a lot of needles on the way, and it's really scary if you have little kids walking around. And I think it takes just the communication. We have a great opioid specialist in Lynn. Her name is Candace, and she's always open. You call her, she picks up needles, even though it's not really her job. But I think these are things that we have to connect people with the right resources. And the parks should always be clean. Our kids need a place to go out, stay out of trouble, and be active. And just having more open lines of communication. A lot of the ward residents don't know the real resources that are available to them. And I think that's one of the major issues. And then, as well as some people not being able to communicate, I have the fortune that I speak Spanish fluently, so I'm able to help a lot of people. So I would think those are some of the major issues.
Okay, Natasha?
Absolutely. So I would agree, safety is definitely a big concern in Ward 4, in Lynn as a whole. I would definitely advocate for speed bumps, because why we don't have them doesn't make any sense. We should definitely have speed bumps, and that's definitely a concern, like one of the main concerns for a lot of people, especially people who have little kids. A lot of the streets, like the beach, like the streets near the beach, a lot of speeding. We could also have those little, I don't know what they're called, but the little speed things, so that tracks your speed, that can deter people from speeding as well. I think that would be super helpful. But I definitely feel like safety is a big issue. All parts of the ward, especially on Union Street, it's very unsafe. I don't feel safe walking around there at night, especially if I have like my grandson with me, and we just need to do better to make sure that all areas of Ward 4 are safe at all times. And so that's what I would advocate for sure.
Okay, next question, really the last question. Chris will go first. It's a ward type question. So, what is your strategy for reaching out to constituents who have been disengaged or disenfranchised?
So my strategy would be meeting people where they're at. If they've been disengaged for so long, it's because, people are not meeting with them or being active with them. So I would use many streams of communication. I think face-to-face is the best. Door knocking, I've seen a lot. Social media, I would plan on doing a Ward 4 Facebook page for those that are tech savvy. For those that aren't, a monthly newsletter. I have a lot of experience. I do a monthly newsletter in my current job, my previous job, and I've run Facebook pages for businesses as well. And I just think, face-to-face communication is the best, and holding forums. I will be holding a forum soon at St. Joseph's Church, my church, and I think that's, very important. People, voices need to be heard, and they need to interact with you and see what their ward councilor really is and what he's about, and that would be my way. Thank you.
Okay. Natasha?
Sure. Can you repeat the question?
Of course. What is your strategy for reaching out to constituents who have been disengaged or disenfranchised?
Yeah, so unfortunately, so I've knocked on thousands and thousands of doors, and so many people don't even want to answer the door. So when I do get somebody to answer the door and they tell me, oh, I'm not going to vote, what's the point? Nothing ever changes in the city. I have to tell them, no, your voice really does matter. Every single vote will matter in this election, so I will use whatever means, I've knocked on doors, I've done text messaging, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever social media platforms. I think it's going to range in the age as well. So making sure that we're reaching out to our youngest voters all the way up to our seniors. We need to make sure that we're reaching out in different languages as well, because there's so many different languages that are here in our city. So we need to be aware of that and make sure that people feel comfortable reaching out to us.
Okay, Donna?
Okay. Definitely communication has to improve across all boards, whether it's City Hall itself or as a Ward 4 councilor. It's going to be a very important thing to have good communication, but also to build trust. A lot of people have lost faith in whether, their concerns are going to be taken care of. So they're going to have to build trust by when somebody has a concern, it's got to be taken care of. And if not, it's got to have a pretty darn good reason why it can't be taken care of. I think all the issues that we've talked about and what people have told me at the doors are all fixable. They really are fixable. And in different ways, but whether it's police presence or the speed bumps or just having more street sweeping for the cleanliness and letting businesses, a lot of our businesses right in the downtown, what they have to put up with some of the homeless that we have and the criminal behavior that's going on. They don't need to open their businesses in the morning and have to clean up after people. And so that's really important. But one of the things that I did during COVID is sitting on people's stoops and talking to them outside of their homes for my job, and that worked beautifully.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to go to the closing round, which means the closing statements. So Natasha, we'll follow the same order. You'll go first with your closing statement, and I believe it's 90 seconds we have, so go ahead. It's all yours.
First of all, thank you for taking the time to watch this forum. I think it's very important to be an informed voter. I'm asking you, please, to just do your research, know your candidates, and please vote for who you think will represent you best. I'm running because I really want to help to bridge our community and bring everybody together again, give everybody a voice, make sure that everybody knows that their voice matters. I ran for office 2 years ago and lost by only 59 votes. So that shows that it's not just possible, but change is actually going to happen. And it's going to happen with your help. please come out and vote, not just for yourself, but for the next generation, because we need real change. We're not going to get real change in our city if you're just sitting on your couch. So please come out and vote. In 2021, less than 18% of registered voters in Ward 4 voted. Less than 18%. And less than 18% of people shouldn't decide anything. We need to do better. Voting is so important. If you don't vote, you have no voice. If you're able to vote, please go out and vote. It's so key. I promise I will be a counselor that's going to always be responsive to your needs and always call you back and really just advocate to make sure that you get what you need from our city, because this is our city. It is time for us to take it back. Thank you.
Donna?
I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and listen to what we have to say. I have the experience needed to be your Ward 4 City Councilor. I'm accessible and I'm dependable. And I know what the issues are. I'm not afraid to walk the ward. I think that's a really important piece. I have walked it for the last 27 years as I worked as a case manager with teen parents. And I have no concerns about walking in your neighborhood. I don't want you to feel as though your counselor won't come up to your neighborhood, but I will be there. And all the issues that we talked about today, and they all encompass safety, and it can turn around. There's nothing that can't be changed, and I can do that for you. And I'm just going to ask for your vote on September 5th and November 7th to make me your Ward 4 City Councilor. Thank you.
Chris?
Thank you, LCTV, for hosting this, and thank you all the viewers for watching. I'm hoping to, excuse me, I'm hoping I get your vote on September 5th, because I think I bring a unique perspective to the City Council, being that I worked for the city and have a proven track record of success of doing things in the city and getting things done. And I know a lot of the nuances, what it is to work for a city department and how to get work done. So I think it would be a very good perspective to start off as a city councilor. And I'll be very hardworking, always accessible, and I will always, always advocate for my Ward 4 residents first. So please consider giving me your vote on September 5th and making me your first Latino ward councilor ever. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Good job, everybody. I just wanted to thank the candidates for participating and having good, clear, concise answers, concise being the key word. And everyone was on time, and I think they presented a lot of different viewpoints, but a lot of similar viewpoints. And I think people of Ward 4 have 3 candidates, and sometimes the preliminary election is more important than the final, because that's where you make your first choice, your real choice, the candidate you want to represent you. So it's so important to vote in elections, municipal elections, and especially important to vote in preliminary municipal elections. So Tuesday, September 5th, what's a couple of weeks away, that's it. So get out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you.